right, we're glad you're still there. This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. And to get us in the mood for our conversation this morning, let's get this background report by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
When talking about the nation's national symbols, they are the country's national identity. They are those identifiable characteristics and emblems that distinguishes one's nation from other nations of the world, such as the national flag, coat of arms, currency, national anthem, identity card, passports, constitution, amongst others. It is a representation of the country's identity and values, encompassing its sovereignty. They are the most prominent symbols of any country with deep meanings. They are symbols of national unity, authority, and state power. The country Nigeria is one with more than 400 ethnic groups with over 250 dialects, with three major ethnic groups in the country, namely Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. The symbols create awareness for the citizens of the country and even the yet unborn generations about how they are connected by history, culture, traditional heritage that is reminding them about past events and future aspirations of Nigeria as a nation. The national symbols define Nigeria as a whole, convey her history, besides her rich tradition and culture and the faith in the cause of building Nigeria. The protection of these national symbols are quite imminent to reflect the positive image of the country, and the destruction most times bring about setback to the country. Now, how much importance is Nigeria and Nigerians paying towards protecting national symbols and assets? A question our guest on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria will be answering shortly.
All right, thank you, Oyeyemi Ajayi, for putting us, of course, giving us heads up for our conversation. And we have all our guests right here in the studio to discuss the national symbols and how they can foster unity and cohesion, and of course, patriotism. So let me begin our introductions. And we have Dr. Olusoji Adeniyi, who is former chairman, United Nations Joint Staff Pensions Fund. He is also founder, Africa Back to Basics Initiative for Sustainable Development. Dr. Adeniyi, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. We also have here David Akoji. David is a very familiar face. Maybe I should even stop introducing him. But of course, he is Director, Special Duties and States Operations, National Orientation Agency, NOA. For those who are joining us for the first time, and by the way, thank you for always making Good Morning Nigeria your breakfast show.
Good morning, all. Pleasure
Right.
to be here.
We have also been joined here in the studio by Mustafa Agbarire, who is a legal practitioner. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me. Good morning,
Last
Nigerians.
but not the least, let me introduce Dr. Emmanuel Maman, Director, Internal Conflict Prevention and Resolution, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution at the Ministry of Affairs here in Abuja. A pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria.
Claire.
All right, gentlemen, thank you once again for coming to share your perspectives with us on our national symbols and, signs. And I think it would be apt to begin, from the origin. I mean, these things, we see them as mere signs. Of course, some are insignia, some are animals, others are mere, symbols and all that. But let me start with Dr. Adeniyi, and that's because of the initiative that you have founded, Africa Back to Basics. Yes. So can you give us an insight, really, how did the use of symbols
Thank you very much.
start?
I think it's what we call the pre-civilization period, where you can imagine nations were imagined and they wanted to be identified. The first that was recorded was the Egyptian model. Most of us still see the Egyptian mummy faces, and it's still there till today. If you go to any part of the world, you see that people are actually, even the Brits, the Americans, still want to identify civilization with that mummy the face of the mummy, you know, with the cobra face and all of that.
Egyptian mummy.
The Egyptian mummy. And then you have, you know, other nations like the Roman Empire coming up with other symbols. Some come with horses and, you know, chariots and the rest of it. It was basically for a group of people to identify with strength and say, okay, here we are, this group of people. So, and that's why people say civilization actually started from Africa, because it was really in Africa. It was the Egyptian model, it was the Ethiopian model that became the symbol that everyone identified. And then, of course, you have our own symbols from the Nok culture. You have our own symbols from the Benin bronze and the Benin head that eventually came out during the Festac 77, if you'd recall. So these were all the origins, the pre-civilization, and then as the countries grew, people began to find a way of identifying one country from the other, and that necessitated the creation of flags to say, okay, this green, white, green symbolizes Nigeria. When you see the other flags from the United Kingdom, from the US, and the rest of them, you can identify. And then they went further to say we need to have symbols of authority, and then the creation of the coat of arms began to, you know, be introduced to say, okay, this would represent our strength, the grass would represent, you know, the productivity, the white would be a symbol of love and unity, and all kinds of creative way of representing what the world brings to the table began to emerge. For instance, at Africa Back to Basics, our own focus is to take it back to the young people such that they understand that Africa actually had a lot to give, much more than we were credited to have.
We'll get to that because there are so many. When we were, you know, when at the beginning of this program, we enumerated quite a number of, you know, the symbols and signs and all that. Victor, you want to?
Yeah, now that I'm not sure if others don't have something to say about
the origin.
The origin,
okay.
But
so let's go around.
Since we've come a bit far from, you know, where we started from, I would like to ask David Akoji, what then do these mean for our nationhood, for unity, for cohesion?
You know, Soji hit the point quite directly on the head when he gave us this backgrounder on the origin. And the origin also points to the significance. Even as individuals, we want to have an identity. We want to be known for something, you know. Individuals are known by name, by family background, you know, and beliefs and values. Yeah. Our national symbols represent this for a nation. They represent our identity. They define who we are and who we want the rest of the world to know us as, you know. And this is the same for nations across the world. So if you look at the national assemblies in array, the flag, the coat of arms, you know, and all of that, nations put all of this together so that in the Committee of Nations, you are identifiable as unique and different from the others, you know. And like Soji said, colors, symbolic images, all of these have meanings, you know. They are not put there by chance. They're deliberately crafted and put on it to send a message, you know, to the rest of the world. So it's a very, very significant component of nationhood, all of these national symbols, the flag and the coat of arms especially. And they are respected, you know, by other nations. That is why you would find, for instance, if you carry an American flag today, you know, and you publicly set it on fire and the pictures go viral, you would have created a diplomatic incident.
I would like our other the two other guests to also speak on, if you do have, you know, something different from what Dr. Dadini had talked about in terms of the origin of these symbols and how they have, come to, they evolve into a very significant symbol for nations and all that. And that's why, again, let me bring in Dr. Emmanuel Maman here. Do you have, other perspectives to how they started?
Yeah, I think the point has been made. But deriving from that, I'd like to say that if you look at it closely associated to what has been said, we have national motto. What is Nigeria motto? That derived from that. When you say faith, unity, peace, and progress, it defines our identity more, as has been already established.
Okay, so let us now look at some of these symbols.
Yeah.
For instance, I mean, the common one everybody is aware of, our green, white, green flag, our national anthem, our coat of arms. Let's begin with the flag.
Okay.
What are the ideas that the green, white, green flag represent for us? What story does it tell about us as a people? Yes, I'm still with you, Dr.
Oh, right.
Norman.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. You look at the green, white, green, particularly Nigeria is a very productive nation. We believe in productivity. Without production, we cannot achieve our realistic goals or national goals, right? And then closely linked to that is the white, which symbolizes peace. So you jolly well know that there is virtually no human endeavor you can do if you do not have peace. First and foremost, when you are not at peace within yourself, you find it difficult to achieve your goals, even for the day or for a particular moment. And then the thing begins to cascade up down to the level of from individuals to corporate organizations and to the nation, the country we are now talking about.
And Mr. Agbarede,
Yes.
you are a lawyer. I don't know if there's any other lawyer in the house, but yours is pretty much defined. And so what are the legal implications of these symbols?
Thank you. I think as a lawyer, I'm speaking last, and that is also symbolic, with a view to giving my own legal advice to everything that the guests have said. I mean, I've said, I cannot differ. I cannot be divergent with what they have said. They have really hit the nail at the head, or on the head. They have said it by tracing the historical analysis of the symbols, including all the marks and everything. But the law aspect to it is that these symbols should be respected. They are, number one, marks of authority. And authority, that is the sovereignty of the nation. Go to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially Section 28. Chapter 2 of the Constitution, that is the directive principle of state policy. That chapter is a chapter that encompasses everything that Nigeria stands for in terms of governance and in terms of the citizenship. A citizen of the country has a duty as against the rights that he has. The right is far away at chapter 4. All your rights: right to life, right to freedom of association, right to speech, right to assembly, right to immovable property, etc. But that section 28, which I think the drafters of the Constitution are wise. When they are coming with the act promulgating the Constitution, they call it Act number 28. Meanwhile, they now come with the duties of the citizens in section 28. That duty says that a citizen of the country has a duty, especially 28.2, has a duty to respect national flag, national anthem, and the pledge. So that tells you that these flags have been brought into recognition of the law. And if something is recognized by the law, it means any violation against that thing
Has consequences.
has consequences. You have breached the law, and you must face the music. So what I'm saying is that Constitution being the grand norm, the law of the land, and that is the law that brings birth to all other laws, has given us how that monument, how that symbol should be treated. Somebody told me that even when you want to desecrate, when you want to tear, or when you want to destroy any national flag, you must do it in accordance with the law. That is why you see them, when they are hoisting it, they hoist it, especially military, with respect, with dignity. When they are also dehoisting it, they do it with respect and dignity. They fold it, they keep it, that of the nation, that of the military, that of the armed forces, they will do it, they will give it to themselves. And you remember that any time we are doing inauguration, these are the things that they will give to the president. When they give it to the president, it means that he has the authority. That is why I will go to section 1 sub 2 of the Constitution that says that the Nigeria as a sovereign should not be, that power should not be taken in any way by anybody except in accordance with the Constitution. So if anything is done against the flag of a nation, that means that nation's sovereignty has been violated, has been trampled upon, has been threatened. And when it is threatened, then it becomes a treasonable felony. And that is the law about it.
You know, go ahead, please.
Yes, when you threaten,
your thought, yeah.
that you have it in section 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 of the criminal code applicable in the southern Nigeria, that says that anything that overhauls the president or sends any fear into the minds of the president or a governor of a state is an act that is treasonable. Anything that you also do by inviting either foreigners or people within to come and attack the sovereignty of Nigeria is also treason. So, and treason, we don't take it with levity. Is a very heinous act that warrant and attract what we call death penalty. So, what I'm saying is this, that law, apart from what they have said, insofar Nigeria has recognized and taken this symbol as a symbol of authority and power, then anything violating or threatening that power is as good as threatening the
sovereignty of the country.
Yes.
And
yes.
I thank you for giving us this perspective, the legal perspective. It would appear again that many Nigerians have yet to fully understand the weight of what our flags or our symbols, the national anthem, the pledge really means. And these are, as we're told, are rooted in our traditions, in how we have evolved as a people. They are markers of our identity. So let's take, again, I want to touch on the flag, because recently, the flag has come into prominence and everybody now is talking about, the flag. So let us look at the Nigerian flag itself. How does that, how is it a marker of our identity? What does the Nigerian need to know really about the history of the green, white, green and how it has evolved?
Thank you very much. I think we need to just go back to how we evolved as a nation. The United Kingdom flag was lowered and the green, white, green was hoisted on the 1st of October 1960, indicating that a new nation has just been birthed, and we were all, excited at that. We existed before that as Nigerians, but we were a colony of a bigger nation. So another flag used to fly in our country.
So we didn't have the green, white, green. It wasn't in existence.
We didn't have the green, white, green, even though we were known as Nigerians. So that's where the identity issue comes in. So when we got our sovereignty as a nation, just like the legal side of it was produced, we needed symbols of authority that guaranteed us, that recognition as Nigerians. So as the green, white, green flag was going up, we told the world that here comes a nation, the green representing agricultural prowess that we will have, our ability to feed ourselves, a green nation that you go from south to the north or the east to the west is all arable land and the rest of it. And then, just like the Mama mentioned, the fact that we are standing for unity was why we had that white separating, the fact that we're going to be productive but in unity, and, we're going to have peace as a nation. We wanted peace as a nation. Of course, more than 90% of the problems that we have subsequently had as a nation, either from the Civil War to the challenges that we've had in the Northeast, are all traceable to the absence or the threat to peace. And of course, once there is threat to peace, the green begins to suffer. Productivity drops significantly.
Absolutely.
The people who are supposed to be in the farm cannot go to the farm. And because they're not going to the farm, feeding ourselves as a nation, productivity from the agricultural space that used to give us the granite pyramid, the cocoa, territories, all disappeared because of absence of peace. So if there's anything we need to protect more than, our lives, it is that symbol. We need to go back to it and recognize that that is the foundation on which Nigeria itself was built from the first day that we were called Nigeria. And every Nigerian, young, old, middle-aged, needs to take it as, the place to be, protecting that flag and ensuring, just like National Orientation Agency always tells us, to understand that respecting the flag is respecting the nation.
In fact, I was going to bring Dr. Koji to tell us what really, when you meet with the people, with Nigerians, what kind of messaging do you give to the Nigerians about these symbols? What do you tell them? Beyond this represents us, it's our identity, how do you get them to be emotionally, to evoke the kind of patriotism, not just in the flag, but through the flag, for the country?
You see, we have a big challenge in this country. And the challenge is that Nigerians do not respect our country enough. There's no country in the world that doesn't have its own types of challenges. Look at the protest that is going on in the UK as we speak. Human beings are basically the same. What separates one group of people from another is the enforcement of law and the certainty of penalties for offenses. Shops were broken into in the UK. Did you not see it during the protests?
Yes.
People looted materials and all of that. Yeah. But many of those people have already been brought to book. That's a deterrence.
Yes.
And that is the path that we must follow as a nation. You find many Nigerians flying flags of other countries in their vehicles, in their homes, and so on and so forth. It's a mark of disrespect for your own country to do that kind of thing. And we send these messages very often. We even have jingles, on the significance of especially the flag. And then the correct format.
But these flags are sold. I mean, you can go to the market and pick them up.
We're doing something about that, Claire. Yeah. The reason why all of that is happening, and a lot of what you see in the traffic and in the market do not represent the true Nigerian flag. And we have kept on talking about this. Nigeria is not the only country that has green on its flag. Even emerald green. Because that's the nature of green. That is our own.
I wish you had brought a copy
of it, But you see, even at that, emerald green is differentiated by color codes.
Yes.
The color code that is the Nigerian flag is emerald green 2.0.
Pantone code.
Thank you. So, but you see people flying all manner of green. They have no respect, no regard. And they are not flying the true Nigerian flags. So we're preached against this. What we're doing at the moment, there's an ordinance act in line with what he was saying, which makes these national symbols to be a product of law. That's what he was saying in all those sections that he was referring to. So
I wanted because we're trying to educate the people who vandalized the national flag. The people who don't sing a national anthem are not educated people like you and I. So we must make them understand why they must, own the national flag, why they must own the national anthem, why they must own the national pledge, why they must also see the coat of arms.
Yes, we're scaling up on that.
Yes.
But like again...
Yes, I see we have our flag now. Maybe once we get it, please go ahead.
So, but like I told you, enforcement of law is critical to behavior change, and to adherence. And so we have recognized that at the NOA. And what we're trying to do, if you look at the Ordinance Act that I referred to, that Ordinance Act came out in the 60s or 70s, thereabouts. And the penalties indicated in that Ordinance Act are in shillings and pounds, which is no longer legal tender in our country. So we are...
So there you are. You now have the flag.
Yes, yes. So this is the emerald green.
This.
This two that you see. This is the emerald green.
These two are different.
No, this is not.
This is not.
This is the wrong version of it.
So this is.
But this that you see, this is emerald green 2.0. Yes. This is 2.0. So this is the correct Nigerian flag. But you find people flying dark shades, milk green, white.
So how is this supposed to be when it's hoist? Is it like this?
It's hoisted straight like this. Yes. This that you're seeing now is a handheld flag. It comes in various varieties. There are tabletop.
Yeah.
There's the one you put on the car of specific office holders in government. There's the one that you host outside called the outdoor flag. And then there's the one that you host behind chief executives, government chief executives, as a symbol of authority alongside the coat of arms, and the picture of the president, to the right. So there are rules guiding the use of all national symbols. And these rules are clearly indicated. What we're trying to do now, NOA is rolling out a national identity project, which the president will be unveiling, hopefully, sometimes this month. And the promotion of the correct use and the correct versions of the national flag is a prominent component of that national identity project. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency keeps talking about it. It's a project that we are positive will change perspective about how we look at our nation. One of the things we're trying to achieve with that is this. We have discovered that Nigerians take out their anger on government on the country. But these two are not the same in all manners particular. We must differentiate between Nigeria, our country, and governments that come part-time and transit, and another government comes and transit, and another one comes. Nigerians have not been able to clearly create that distinction in their mind. So when they are angry with a particular government, they take it out on their country, which is not correct. We must realize that we have no other country but Nigeria. If we have challenges in the way it is governed, then it's incumbent upon us, even as citizens, as citizen responsibility, to get up and speak out, dialogue, engage, and try to instigate change in the way that the country is being governed, following rules and regulations.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Koji, thank you very much.
If you're not on this flag, let's end with let me ask a question. We end with the flag. On the flag. Okay.
But not with him.
Yes. Yes, I got it.
I wanted to bring in Dr. Maman because he alluded to what could become a diplomatic
we're still with the flag.
when it involves the American flag, for instance. Yeah. And I'm asking, what's the place of our symbols? What are the implications of our symbols, including the flag, or particularly the flag, in diplomatic circle?
Yeah, thank you very much. The point has been well made when Dr. Koji was talking. You will notice one thing, first and foremost, that like it has been established, each time our president, the Nigerian president, is addressing or sitting to make an address, you see flags behind him. The first thing, you see the country's flag, and then you see that one symbolizing the commander-in-chief.
I'm glad you brought that, because a lot, has been going. A lot of people have been saying so many things about the two flags.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing this clarification.
Yes,
Go
the
ahead.
commander-in-chief. It shows, first and foremost, Nigeria as an identity. Then that other flag symbolizing the commander-in-chief, meaning that we are a people in charge of our own affairs who have the capacity to do what we think we can do within the ambit of the law and within the ambit of nationhood, and even in relation to other countries. It specially just gives us the identity that is still required to define us as the people. Who are we, and what do we do, and what should we be known for? That's the implication of the two flags you see behind the president anytime he speaks. But like has been already established, the issue of the national symbols, like we have in Nigeria today for us, naturally, if we do not come to a position that, oh, this is the people we are, and this is how this is the people we are, we won't be able to know and to move forward on what we want to do. So in trying to do this, we must operate, like has been said. People do not know, most people do not know what the flag is standing in for us. What is the implication of all of this? Perhaps somebody just see this in another person carrying it. If you look at all these boys, young children that were moving flags around in Kanu, Katsina, and some of these other northern states, if you ask them, they probably don't even know what's the implication of what they were doing.
They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know. So, like our man from NOA said, we need a lot of education and sensitization on this very issue, on how we should recognize and respect our own symbol of authority, who we are, and how do we really move to make sure that our national goals are achieved within the ambits of the law, and how everybody will be at peace within ourselves. If we look at most of the things that the young people were doing in those northern states, you literally see that it's a very, very wrong thing that will not give anybody peace.
Okay, let's now that you have touched on that, let me bring Mr. Mustafa Agbarere. I mean, this obviously, from all we have said, it's not just a piece of fabric or cloth. I mean, this is much more. This embodies the sovereignty and authority of Nigeria. Yes. So it should be respected and guarded jealously. And there's a constitutional provision for this. Now, in other climes, sheer mutilation of this icon, burning of this icon, even hoisting
the wrong one,
comes with severe penalties, severe punishment.
Yes.
But here in our country, even government institutions hoist wrong green, white, green flags.
Yes.
And you see people trample upon them. You said this should be, a place, maybe you have the table flags and all that, but in specific offices, anybody and everybody now have one flag or the other in their offices.
Yes.
Is there any constitutional, provision for those who mutilate or mutilate our flags or break the constitutional provision?
Yes, our laws cover the ground. I must say that. We have law that is very rich in Nigeria. There is nothing that our law never touch. That, number one, just look at this constitution. We don't know the content. People will just be saying constitution, constitution. I tell you, even responsibilities of the government are there. Duties of the citizens are there. And that is the organogram that I'm talking. We call it. There is a name we call the Constitution. The if you can give me an assistance over that, we call it. Well, let me. I'll come back to it. So that law is the supreme law of the land. I just told you Section 28. It's very simple. The citizen of Nigeria has a duty to respect the national flag, to respect the national anthem. See what happens in Port Harcourt, where people were singing the old flag. I mean, they singing the old items. It's also a desecration of the sovereignty of Nigeria. This flag, like what you said, cannot even be dropped on the ground. I thank you that I drop it just on the table. This is a wrong one. You can't drop it on the ground. You can't put it in the water. So in law, Ordinance Act, which he just mentioned, has covered the ground over the punishments that is applicable to you, even though at that time it was in pounds. But I tell you, in the US, when you do, for instance, we call it the Flag Protection Act in the US, it attracts 1 year imprisonment. Now, or they will give a fine of $1,000 dollars, or two can be cumulatively done.
For doing what?
For desecrating it, even putting it on the ground, or in water, destroying it. I tell you that even if you are not using the flag again, if you want to destroy it, that this flag maybe is old or is getting something, touch it. If you want to destroy it, there is a way we do it.
Absolutely, and it's prescribed.
It is prescribed in the Act.
So there's a procedure.
Yeah, there's a procedure. You don't do it in the open.
Yes.
It has to be in the close. And you respect the country. Because immediately you do that, it's like you're killing the soul of the country.
Yes, absolutely.
More or less like you put a dagger, killing the country, and the country is bleeding. So I tell you, in Nigeria as well, it is in pounds. And you convert it. You convert it into the current, what do you call it? Conversion rate. And you make that person to pay, including imprisonment.
Yes.
So that is the law about it. And again, if the thing goes to the point that you are showing that, yes, Nigeria is nothing, just like what people are doing by hoisting the flag of Russia to say that we want Russia to come because Nigeria is pro-West. We don't want that again. We want a communist country to come to. That is a treasonable offense. You can't do that in Nigeria. In fact, that Section 20 mentions some things. Respect the country, respect the flag. You also be patriotic about Nigeria. Also show compassion to the country. Don't destroy the country. All these are mentioned there. But people who forget what is there in the chapter 2, fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, they will forget it. They will now go to chapter 4. And we lawyers, we do that oftentimes. Because though fundamental human rights are very fundamental, they are rights given to you by God, and they are respected by all nations, including all treaties. But even we have it in the fundamental human rights where you have restriction, where your rights will be restricted, and it is restricted upon the rights, upon the existence of the right of another person. Protests, let me come to that. It should be peaceful. It's your right. You can protest in order to critique the governments.
So what should happen to public institutions where very old, scattered national flags?
I bring it to them. I bring it to them. I want to say something about that. You see, let us start from civic education in the schools. Make it compulsory that are in the school, from primary school, that people, Nigerians should know civic. They should be good in civic educations, so that
it was at the time.
It was at the time. Let us bring it back.
I did civic education.
I also did it.
No, the point is,
let it be brought back. And NOA, they should do more. They should do
So
more.
they're not doing much now.
No, they are doing. Honestly, I said it at
They
a
said
lot
they
of
should
fora.
do more.
They should do more.
So with regards to this, they should do
Yes.
more,
In
which
fact-
means it's not enough.
Yes, like this
No, but
place.
even in the, you see, well, all these things are in the law, right?
Yes.
All these things are constitutional.
Yes.
So how did we get here?
Yes.
Is it also not part of the failings
Yes.
of those who ought to implement?
Yes.
To implement even from the basics, and then we get to a
Okay,
level
as judiciary-
where people begin to hoist the flag of another country.
Yes, as judiciary, I tell you, yes, Fontos Origo, that is the constitution. Fontos Origo, that is the best law. That is a great law.
Yeah.
Now,
The grand
judiciary,
norm.
the grand norm. Thank you. Judiciary doesn't do anything unless you bring.
bring.
Police, law enforcement agencies. What are they doing? Because ignorance of law is no excuse.
But
If you-
I don't even think we should, talk about enforcement. The people need to be educated.
Don't know to
The
know
people need
first.
to understand,
I
have
think-
knowledge.
I think-
They all go
Yes.
together.
And that's where
extremely important, Claire.
Yes.
Do you understand? It is the
Knowledge is power.
awareness and the fear of enforcement that brings about compliance.
Yeah, that's deterrence.
Yeah.
Yes, deterrence.
Without deterrence,
deterrence.
no amount of awareness or whatever will prevent crime. What we're talking about is crime, and people need to know that it is, and that if you commit crime, the laws are known, and the penalties that you stand the risk of are well known. He just spoke about what happens in the U.S. That's a deterrence.
Yes.
$1,000 is a lot of money.
Now the people are
1
they're
year
aware.
in prison
The
is
people
also a significant deterrence. That is the point I'm making. The provision in the law now is not enough deterrence. So we are initiating a repeal and reenactment of that ordinance
Act,
law
yes, yes,
act,
yes.
so that it reflects penalties that are truly deterring from people
I'll give you an example.
abusing.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
While I was with the United Nations, in one of the days, I ordered an American flag because we needed to replace the one in the office, and I was in New York. And the courier who was delivering the flag refused to put it at my doorstep because it was going to be on the ground,
You can put it on the ground.
and asked for a time that I was going to be at home such that he can deliver it by hand to me. That's the amount of respect. It's already in a package that they could simply, because normally they would do it, you'll just drop it at your doorstep and they will inform you, you have a delivery, we have left it. And you just open your door and you pick it. It says, no, it is the national flag. You have to be present on the house and I will hand deliver it. And he delivered it as if he was delivering, a baby. In that's very, as if he was carrying something heavier than
And even if you watch international
measured.
competitions like the Olympics, ongoing Olympics,
Exactly.
now, it's never put on the
No.
floor. It's hung somewhere.
Yeah.
And you
And
see
you know,
the joy. It's
even
shared
the
joy
Olympics
for a
that is
winner
happening
to
currently
rush.
in
In fact,
Paris,
look for
as
the
National
flag
Heritage Agency,
representing.
because we have identified that even at such occasions, because they don't liaise with us, they use wrong versions of the national symbols. So in this particular one, I personally took the correct versions of the handheld
Yes.
and the outdoor, which the athletes will wrap around themselves. Personally, I took them after the DG had spoken to the Minister of Sports, and I went to the PAMSEC and handed over hand to hand to her in her office, so that the correct thing, is.
And have you observed what's on display
Yes.
to be what you handle?
Yes, absolutely. They are using what we gave them. They traveled with it to Paris.
France.
Yes, to France for the Olympics. So the point that is to be made is there has to be enforcement, Claire.
Okay, so
We're working on that.
let's stay on the
And
flag.
yes,
because
and-
there are
and-
other symbols.
And he has also admitted, like you were trying to point out, that while there has to be deterrence, there also has to be enlightenment. This, which you have done,
Yes.
is part of the enlightenment process. Now, you've made it practical.
We have a jingle.
You've made it practical.
We have a television jingle which NTA has been running for long on the correct use of the national symbol. One thing that must stop is the sales of it on the streets. Because that is where this adulteration and this abuse comes, where people do all kind of shades and everything and then sell. We have a memo at the Federal Executive Council, which will be considered very soon, which will make a national declaration of where you can get the correct versions of the national symbol.
Symbol.
We're standardizing all of these things. A
You
lot
still
of
have not told us the public institutions that fly the wrong flags and that.
There are too many. There are too many.
You see, we will go to
many.
them.
And it's, I mean,
We will go to
There are
them.
too many.
You know, once this
But it's because they don't
once this
know.
memo,
They don't
Yes,
know
yes.
better.
yes, once this memo receives the attention of the Federal Executive Council, it would have been taken at the last one. But you see, a lot of issues on this
Yeah, the
protest,
protests
everything came up and all of that. So once it's taken, it will set out the guidelines for enforcement at that level before we perfect the repeal and reenactment of the national of the ordinance.
let's take the national anthem. Yes, you don't,
No,
okay.
female voice. My voice is very high. When it comes to
Okay,
singing.
let's look at the national anthem. And you know, just in my sitting room, I always love to listen to the young children, teenagers, primary school pupils, and all that, and the manner, the speed at which they learned the national anthem was amazing. And I'm like, if these children can, well, of course, you'll tell us about their retentive, memory
They're
and
still at
all
their
that.
prime.
Yes, but a lot of the adults are still struggling, to learn the lyrics of the national anthem. Dr. Emmanuel Maman, please, can you talk to us about a country's national anthem? What emotion does it evoke?
Yeah, thank you. If you sit back to look carefully, our history, from where we're coming from, you see that we had this national anthem before now, until President Bola Tinubu sought to change that, will revert back to the one we inherited from the...
We had that independence.
Yes, the one we got at independence.
As independent.
Yeah. I think looking very deeply into the contents of the anthem, you want to think that everything that should happen to a nation and to the people inside that nation is closely contained in the national anthem. I want to give a scenario like maybe as the Christians or Muslims, you hold your Bible or the Quran so sacrosanct, right? So that is the entire content of what I derive from the entire thing I derive from the national anthem. Because nothing is indeed missing from there.
I'm sure that almost everybody agree that aspect, there was a consensus.
Yes.
About it. Nigeria will hail the and they know tribes and tongue, though tribes and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand.
Yes.
But the issue is, and gentlemen, our national anthem at every event. In fact, I have a question. Someone just sent me a question. He said, please could you ask your guest, at what event should our national anthem be sung, please? And then we also just sing it on a monotonous note. I don't, maybe I should come back to you before we go around again.
You see, national anthems most of the time tell, in a nutshell, the story of a country. And that's why most people are passionate about the national anthem of their country. Again, I don't know what it is with us in this country. You see that in some formal occasions, when the national anthem is being sung, you see even senior officials moving around, doing their things as though nothing were happening. At any occasion where the national anthem is being rendered, everyone must stand still, exactly where you are, not moving anywhere until it finishes. And this attitude needs to be imbibed, because you find that in formal institutions, I don't want to name names, we have observed this and we have written letters, as National Orientation Agency, to various government institutions, arms of government, where we have noticed and people have brought to our attention that if in this kind of place, national anthem is being rendered, and such senior officials are moving, what examples are they giving to the rest of us ordinary folks? You know? So it's a very solemn time, anytime that you find the national anthem being rendered. And in most other countries of the world, you see the kind of respect, the passion. Watch the face, for instance, of the British, when they are at an occasion and the national anthem. But our response is impersonal. And I agree with you, Claire, that most people just render this national anthem impersonally. They don't meditate on the specific words in the national anthem. This is part of what we intend to achieve with the National Identity Project. We're going to take all of these items one after the other, and then using multiple communication platforms, we're going to get Nigerians to recognize the significance of this.
Sometimes we funkify or discofy our national anthems, and yes, and you see different versions. Yes, with drum beats and I get yes.
I think sometimes, I mean, I'm glad that NOA is here. A lot needs to happen, especially in our entertainment world. We're very, very creative people, and we don't know the limit of the creativity when it comes to symbols. There are very clear tones that have been set in the national anthem.
Precisely.
That needs to reflect each time
and respect it.
And respect
it's called the musical score.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And with the way our young musicians want to be creative, it's because sometimes they don't have, that perception of how rigid the delivery is supposed to be. I mean, I also, the person who asks you at what time should,
yes,
and
that's Engineer Kashim Ali. Thank you, Engineer Kashim Ali, for watching.
It's very important. What people actually abuse that. The truth is that it is not to be sung at every time that you just feel like singing. It's not your birthday and then let's sing the national anthem. Or you're having a naming ceremony, we can as well sing the national anthem because this child must be, a true Nigerian. No, it's supposed to be for official functions. And in those official functions, there must be a symbol of authority of the office of a particular agency that is there at the point at which you are singing the national anthem. You're not supposed to just sing the national anthem because you want to start an event. I worked internationally in about 8 different countries, 5 continents. And the time that you would hear them get up to sing the national anthem, a governor must be in the room.
Yes,
a president or a head of an agency must be in the room. It is not that we're just starting this training, let's sing the national anthem. And the organization just gets up, and inside their room, and they're singing the national anthem. There's a desire.
Yes, sorry, please, just hold it there. I need you to also clear, within public institutions, holding regular, meetings and all that, can the national anthem, be sung at such meetings?
If the head of the institution is present, or somebody representing the head of the institution.
Okay, like the permanent secretary.
Like a permanent secretary, like the DG, like the honorable minister, anyone that is representing the authority of government is present, they can actually sing the national anthem because they are at that time connecting that event as a national event of significance.
But is this stipulated anywhere in the books?
That is where we need to ask National Orientation Agency because I think
if it's not stated anywhere,
yes,
if it's not in the Constitution, the National Orientation Agency hasn't given it to us as this is the way to go, then it comes down to mere opinion.
I agree with you, and I've taken it up. I've actually taken it up before. I mean,
no, I want to define.
Minister Fashola, who is an SAN,
yes,
you understand, who should know better, would even say that when he is presiding, is an honorable minister, at that time. After leaving office, he came on and said, I've always told people, do not sing the national anthem when I walk into the room, because I am not, representing the symbol of authority at that time. Do you get the point I'm making? So we need it to be clarified. I don't know whether the Ordinance Act,
Mr. Mustafa Gari
covers
says
it.
yes.
No, I've been saying it. I'm sorry. Point of correction.
Yes.
I want to correct myself. The other time I was referring to Section 28. It's not Section 28. It's Section 24
Okay.
of the Constitution, and it reads, "It shall be the duty of every citizen to abide by this Constitution in respect its ideals, its institutions, the national flag, the national anthem, the national pledge, and legitimate authorities." Duties. It says that it shall be the duty of every citizen to respect. So when you respect the national anthem, it is a duty imposed on you by the Constitution. We don't need to go far. You know, national anthem has its own act as well. It's an act of the National Assembly that must bring anything we do must be brought into bear by.
Yes, that's why it was changed. And
Yes,
it was
that was why it
repealed and
changed.
reenacted.
Yes.
What happens to those who do not stand, when the national anthem is played?
Yes.
What should happen?
It's a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Misdemeanor. You take them to the court of law
Or if they are moving around.
and charge them
Yes.
for misdemeanor. And it's there in our law, both in the penal code and the criminal code.
Does it apply to security agent officials?
Nobody
Because
is-
at events, when the national anthem is being played, you find that security aides move about.
Nobody is above the law. It's because we keep saying it. Let us do it. Let us do it as a chain. NOA in the school. We start from the school.
It's the school, actually.
Let us start from civic education.
It's the school.
We go to the NOA. Then constitution. Everybody should have constitution in their homes. Yes. Everybody should be able to know the content of the constitution.
You're going too far, my brother.
Not-
You see, let's understand one thing, that Nigeria is still struggling with out-of-school children. Majority of those children that you saw on the streets, breaking slabs and removing iron rods, climbing street lights and removing, the aluminium to take to scrapyard to go and sell. They are out-of-school children. The fact that they saw an opportunity, you cannot convince them the difference between protest and riot. As far as they are concerned, anytime you are on the street, you are rioting. And it is an opportunity for them to take something that can provide a meal for them the next day when the riot is over.
And rioting is
Let's
criminal.
hold your thought at this point, because we are overdue for a break. We'll pay some bills and then we'll return to continue this conversation.
Thank you.
Please stay with us. All right, we're glad you're still staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria, and as we gradually hit the home stretch on this episode of the program, let me get back to Dr. Adeni. You had we had to interject earlier, so.
I was saying that we need to, as much as we are bringing back civic education, moral instructions, because we had moral instruction, then it became civic education, and NOA is now saying that we are going to have a whole charter on nation building, and which is good. But first and foremost, the nation has to go back to the basics in terms of education. Education is everything. The civic education is part of education. Moral instruction is part of education. And when we have a lot of children out of school, what that simply means is that education will not reach the children that are out of school. But the children that are out of school will grow at the same pace with the children that are in school. So you would always have that strata of the population that is mixed, uneducated, half-educated, and completely educated. So you have three strata. And what you find eventually is that as they grow up, they continue to grow in that space. So if there are problems, the ones that are educated may understand the root cause of the problem and try to find solutions. The ones that are in between will struggle between following those that didn't know and following those that know. In fact, some evidence has shown that those who dropped out of school actually are more dangerous than the ones that didn't go to school at all, because they thought they knew what they knew, but they didn't actually know anything. So you saw what happened during the protest. Some where education is strong, people were on the streets, they were protesting, they had flags, they had, all kinds of, banners and placards, and they were saying this is what we want, and they were making demands. The ones who were obviously not in school, underage and all of that, they ran after slabs and started breaking slabs. They were climbing, bridges and removing iron, and they were removing, aluminum, straps from street lights.
I saw one that removed the police post.
Exactly, and carried it. Because for them, all that was in their mind is that this is an opportunity for me to make some money when all this is over. I'll hide it, and then, I'll go and sell it, and I'll make some money. Maybe I'll buy a wheelbarrow, and I'll become, a self-entrepreneur. So that's what is on their mind, because they actually don't have anything going on.
I'm just thinking, is there a way that national symbols can be used, to address social and political divisions in the country?
I think it's already part of the provisions of the law, just like the legal gentleman mentioned to us. The understanding that we have as a people is what needs to be deepened. We have lost that, family bonding that we used to have. And in some part of the country where, again, those children are left on their own for a long time, there are nobody that can call them to order. If you see unruliness in the streets in some part of the country where that is not prominent, somebody would come as an adult and say, hey, all of you, move out of the street, and you will see everybody will run. But on the other side, they've never been cared for by anybody. They've been on the street just trying to heck a living. You come and you want to talk to them except you are bringing money. They don't care what you want to say. So what symbols do you want to sell to those?
Okay, gentlemen, let's look at perceptions, because all we've been talking about perceptions, and obviously, many Nigerians, have different, the wrong perceptions about our symbols. But how is the traditional media and the new media, are they complicit in the way they have framed, our national symbols? Let me start with Dr. Emmanuel Maman.
Yeah, yes, thank you. You see, Dr. Adeni just has been making a lot of points here. If we leave what we ought to do and do not do it the way we should do it, then obviously you will see some certain inroads for people, and that's the new media you're talking about now. Largely, we've been talking here for a while now. We need to actually educate and sensitize and also advocate. And that's why I'm happy the NOA is here. Our perception and attitude to these symbols is really unbecoming. It's appalling, the way we see, the way we do these things in Nigeria at the moment. Earlier on, a point was made that even the way our national anthem is sung, some people do it in a disco way. Maybe the young people are trying to be creative about it. You find out that even the Bible in Christianity, the Bible we use now, you see these comedians say a lot of things, and this and that you want to frown out. In trying to move their audience, they want to be very creative and then make a lot of things that ordinarily, if not for issues of proper understanding, knowledge, and tolerance that we've been talking about now, that the adherents of such faith, Christianity, we want to go after them and say, why are you saying some of these things about our Lord Jesus Christ? So this is where I think we should move to now at this level. We need to continuously educate, sensitize, and tell the people what they need to know. What should be the right perception or their perception about these symbols we are talking about. Some of the things you see people do here, a large number of them do not know the implications. And if nobody is telling them, this is how it ought to be, then they continue to do what they are doing. So the whole mark of it is we continuously need to educate, sensitize, and advocate. There are some who have known this. Therefore, those who have known, we keep on advocating to them to say this is the right way we must go.
Yes, please. Can you weigh in?
But traditional media has been killed by the social media. indubitably. If you see what happens nowadays, people don't, even television, what we are doing, the audience is reducing. Because people, you are in Facebook, you go to other things that you do in the media. So, me, I think this media thing has really killed the national orientation. In terms of, I'm talking about the social media. Maybe they should engage it.
But how can we use the media
Yes.
to change the perception or to begin to frame message framing,
Yes,
such that it will, impact on the perceptions of Nigerians about our national symbols?
I want National Orientation Agency. I think they should also move with time and make sure that they engage the social media more.
Especially the influencers.
Yes, the influencers. Use those boys. Even those boys that call them this artist. Let them know that they should change their own perception and perspectives about how, just like what Oga said now. He talked about,
just hold on, let him.
Yes, he spoke about the Bible. Yes, the same thing with the Muslim adherents. When you see a person doing the rendition of Quranic verse in such a way that is not in tune with, in sync with how it was revealed, you correct that person. So let us make this thing sacred. Make it sacred through the use of media. We tell them about the sanctity of the national symbols, the national anthem, the national pledge, etc., including teach them about patriotism and about the love of the nation. So what I'm saying is this: we should move into the new trend by using the
even the military band that used to be the number one, and give a rendition of the national anthems.
Yes.
Observe the solemnity where it should be observed.
Yes.
Sometimes they also miss it. I
give you an example.
Yes.
See the time
Yes,
you
you will.
speak. You speak. I'll give you 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. See the time of President Obasanjo. One musician said, "Nigeria jaga jaga, everything scatter scatter." The president called him, and he said, "Call me that boy." Idris something, and he lambasted him that you lack culture as a Yoruba man. Why can't you say Nigeria is jaga jaga? Since that time, and today you see them, they are still singing it. That type of music should be banned.
You have the floor, Dr. Akoti.
Okay, so you see, there's an issue that Victor, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That Victor raised, which I think we just glossed over, and I think we ought not to. Victor was trying to establish a connection between the national symbol and national cohesion. The national symbols are representative of our identity as one country. There's a huge challenge in the area of national cohesion. In this country, we see ourselves first from what region, what religion, what tribe, what political party. We segregate, and that's not helpful for national cohesion. We have identified that. The strategy for addressing it is encapsulated in the National Identity Project, which I spoke about. The world is helping us to define ourselves as Nigerians with wrong stereotypes. And the reason is that we have not put out
who we are
to the rest of the world. To say the true Nigerian, anywhere you meet him, these are the character elements that you will see.
That reflects.
Yes. So if you go to China, India, America, anywhere, Germany, and you don't see that black man who calls himself a Nigerian demonstrating these character elements, then he's not a true Nigerian. We're going to put that out.
Yes.
And we have identified. This is not something that is alien. We have identified this, working with civil society, working with religious groups, working with youth, diverse groups, to select 7 characteristics that we think that should identify the Nigerian. Whether you are an ordinary Nigerian on the street or whether you are occupying a government office, we will evaluate you on the basis of these 7. If any of it is missing, then you are not a complete Nigerian yet, and you are not demonstrating the Nigerian character.
Nigerianness.
Yes. So that is one way we are trying to address the challenge of national cohesion. So that once that is identified, if you tell somebody you are not a true Nigerian, he knows what you are talking about. Not as it is today. If I say you are not a true Nigerian, what do I mean? What are the agreed upon character parameters that is missing in your behavior that is making me to accuse you of not being a true Nigerian? So we're putting that in place. We're also putting in place 7 promises that Nigeria must make to every citizen, including those yet to be born. And the emphasis is on Nigeria. I'm not talking about the government, because governments, like I said, come and go. But there has to be a Nigerian promise, like the American dream, like the American promise. So every leader, no matter what political party you come from, you will deliver on this promise that our country has made to its citizens. That's addressing the national
cohesion. And
cohesion.
I do hope that I do hope also part of this recognizable characteristics would also be knowing the characteristics of the Nigerian flag and understanding the lyrics and being able to sing the national anthem.
I'm coming to that because it's part of the national identity project. Now you referred to the Nigerian army
yes,
band.
the band, but
Yes.
the military band.
The
because
military
you have
band.
the Nigerian army, you have the police and the...
Yes,
Yeah.
we work with them. National Orientation Agency is the custodian of national symbols. One of the things that we have done to spotlight the national symbols is to get Federal Executive Council to approve, and this has been done close to 10 years ago, September 16th of every year as National Symbols Day. It's a day that we bring emphasis. We do activities in every state, to bring attention to all our national symbols and their significance. That is clearly on the table. Even when we went back to this national anthem that is approved now by the president, the Brigade of Guards Band, who are the ones actually who do the rendition, they came to us at the National Orientation Agency. They are liaising with us. There's a score for the rendition of the national anthem, which Soji was referring to. But you see, we have seen that score does not reflect some of our indigenous musical instruments. And this is reflected in the national anthem of other nations. So we're looking at that, and we are trying to start a process that will follow that score, but will include some of our traditional musical instruments. So it becomes reflective of our culture.
Absolutely.
And truly owned by us. So that's a process that we are also working on.
Please, sorry, just before Victor comes, I need you, because you're with the NOA, to clarify for us some of the lyrics in the different stanzas. Nigerians all are proud to serve, or Nigerians all and proud to serve. There's been a conflict. And then, where no one is oppressed, or where no man is oppressed. So which is the correct rendition?
It is Nigerians all are proud to serve.
Nigerians all
Yes.
are proud to
And it's
serve.
tribes and tongues.
Yes, our sovereign motherland.
That's it.
And where no, is it where no one or where no man?
Where no man. And
Where
man there
no
is generic.
man is oppressed.
That's
So the use of man there is generic.
The
The reason why people are saying no one.
I'm sure
because they think that
come up tomorrow and say, why did you say it's only men?
in many contexts it's used as generic.
Indeed.
Yes, but the gender advocates, are raising. But what the standard for our national anthem is where no man is oppressed. So please, if you're watching, if you're listening, where no man is oppressed, and of course Nigerians all and proud to serve, and proud to serve. Victor.
Well, I was hoping we could have 30 seconds for Dr. Maman to tell us, because it's as important what we do here, what we also do outside. How should those representing the country outside in diplomatic missions across the world carry themselves with regards to these symbols to ensure that we also earn the respect we deserve for our symbols outside there? I hope you can do this in 30 seconds, 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. We have said it all here, and that what defines a Nigerian should be paramount in our minds. Anywhere we find ourselves, where here in Nigeria or outside, why exactly define you as a Nigerian? So even if you are outside the country, first and foremost, you should know that you are coming from a place, and that the ideas, the things that are cherished from where you are coming from should be your paramount interest. So you must conduct yourself first and foremost as a Nigerian, knowing fully well that back home there, these are your values, these are the ideas, these are things cherished in your country as the natural human beings.
All right.
So this is very important, but closely linked to
yes, just 30 seconds,
yes,
please.
Less than that.
Anyway, talk about national cohesion, and I want to add to it that we're talking about national flag, and we see green, white, green, which is symbolic to peace. Peace is part of also this in here. Along that side, we should be thinking about a national policy for peace. National peace policy.
Dr. Emmanuel Maman,
Yes.
Director, Internal Conflict Prevention and Resolution, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's been a pleasure having you on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Also, Mustafa Agbarire, legal practitioner. Your insights have been very, very useful to us this morning. We thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
David Akoji, Director, Special Duties and States Operations, National Orientation Agency. Thank you for your time and thoughts.
And member of the NTA family.
All right. You're welcome back. Thank you very much.
I want to say something quickly, sir.
You
It's
can, sir.
Agbarere. Agbarere.
Agbarire.
So that it will not be a bad rendition as well.
All right, Agbarire. And finally, Dr. Olusoji Adeniyi, former chairman,
Orientation.
United Nations Joint Staff Pensions Fund, founder, Africa Back to Basics Initiative for Sustainable Development. We thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you.
for your
Thank you
time
for having
and
me.
contributions to the program this morning.
Thank you.
Well, that's the show. Claire, I was hoping we would have one, even if it's the first stanza of the national anthem. I think we can round off of that.
No, this is not. Let's not a false precedent. This is not the right forum to sing the national anthem.
Thank
You challenged us earlier.
Thank you.
But you challenged us earlier.
It does apply.
All right, that's it for today on Good Morning Nigeria. I would like to thank you, and I specifically want to say thank you, Engineer Kashim Ali. Thank you, Angus Chukwunyere from Lagos, for your questions. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm Victor. Bye for now.